So hello and welcome back to the Resto Saga Classic Car Restoration YouTube channel, and here we are continuing the build of this Toylander 1 or TL1. As you saw in the last episode, the buttons were all screwed onto the side panels, and in between now and then I have done a bit of assembly. The bulkhead is screwed and glued in, the rear panel is screwed and glued in, and the side panels are screwed and glued in. It's amazing actually how heavy this thing is getting now, even to move it outside to take pictures. So what I'm planning to do today is to put the inner wings on, and then there's a closing panel underneath those, and then the wing fronts and the wing tops all being well. So big visual impact should be completed by the end of this video. So let's get stuck in. I'm going to get everything clamped up, measured, drilled and screwed, and then we'll have a look at where we go after that. So this is one of the inner wing pieces, and there's another one on this side obviously. Toylander themselves recommend making a batten to go along the bottom to make sure these all line up and don't protrude. I don't have the ability to do that, so what I'm doing is using my steel ruler, and I've put it across there. Now this front face here does protrude by 2mm beyond the outer one. I don't think 2mm is going to make a huge difference, and I think if I was to start cutting this edge with the jigsaw to move it closer to the bulkhead, I think, to be honest, it'd make it worse. So I'm just going to have to accept that. I'm going to maybe file the face flat a little bit once the wing front is on and see if I can make it a bit more flush, but I think for me to start sanding down that back end, it would really end in disaster. Ideally you'd have a belt sander that you could just push it onto at 90 degrees and it would give you a really nice vertical finish, but I don't have those skills or those tools, so I'm just going to have to make do with what I've got. So let's get this drilled and screwed on this one side here, and then we'll catch up once we're putting the closing panels in as well. And there we go, I have two inner wings screwed on. Might have mentioned this before, but I'm using screws and glue. I'm told this is the glue that I'm using, Type Bond 2 premium wood glue, and this is exterior and interior. I'm reliably informed that the glue actually provides more strength than the screws, but it's always good to wipe the excess glue off as per the instructions on the back of the bottle. I'm just using a damp wet cloth to do that, make sure it's all nice and tidy. So now those inner wings are on, I'm just going to put two closing panels in here, and that should give it a bit more rigidity, as at the minute those are just sitting there held on with the screws at the back. So that's next, and then I have to double check instructions, do it one step at a time, then I think the front grille goes on soon after that. So catch you up again in a wee second once I've got those closing panels in. And there we go. The inner wing closing panels are now fitted, and this has definitely added a bit more rigidity up front. So having just checked the instructions, the front panel actually comes a wee bit later, but because I haven't actually cut out the dumb irons for the front bumper yet, I'm going to have to move away from the front and do a wee bit more towards the back. I think that's probably the best way to go. So put the wing tops on, wing fronts on, then you're meant to do the wing corners, but I haven't ordered those yet. I'm going to get those from Toylander because I don't have the ability to make those nice little quadrants in aluminium. Order a bonnet at the same time and a few other bits and bobs, and then I'll do the front. So let's pop the wing tops and bottoms on and let's see what it looks like, and then probably put the rear wing tops on as well, but I'll have to check the instructions, make sure I'm not going to tie myself in knots by closing an area up before I have to put any more screws in somewhere else. Probably ideally I would put, there's little sills in here, again fixing the chassis to the body sides, put a bit more strength into it, and we'll go from there. And we're back again a couple of days later, and you'll notice that the garage has had a bit of a tidy up. Cleared the floor space, got rid of some old scrap, although I have kept these bigger panels here to make the axle or the front bumper dumb irons, and I've got some new screws. Pretty stupid of me really to run out, but there you go. So the new ones is the slightly yellow one and the old one is silver. Not much different. I did get them from a different supplier. The new one has a slightly bigger head, which I suppose is good because it will spread the load, and has a big gash up it just to get a greater grab on the material. Other than that, let's be honest, most of the screw heads are going to be covered up anyway, so I'm going to screw down the wing tops and then a quick check of the plans and then move into the inside if I can, which I think I should be able to. I can't see how that would bring up a problem. So I'll catch you up in a wee second. And there, from a wood point of view, the wings are complete. Now, something I'm noticing, which I had sort of preempted, these panels must not have been cut particularly square because there is a bit of a lip here and here. And I'm not really entirely sure how that happened, but I'm fairly certain that lip is going to be evident whenever the front panel goes in, and the bonnet will not cover that. So what I'm going to have to do is run the jigsaw up here. The bonnet will cover the inner portion, but it'll need to be cut flush and probably sanded down. And the same on this side. It shouldn't be too hard to do. It's something I must remember to do. Moving on around the side then, I've set these sill pieces in place. These are the inner sills. This one required quite a bit of sanding down, having cut earlier. So these are all the screw holes, because if you take that out, there's the gap. Obviously you can't put a screw into fresh air. So screw in here, I'm just going to mark the other side, lots of glue down that side and a lot of glue along the bottom. And screw these two in place. And then I already cut one sill piece, and that goes on the bottom here. And I'll just round off the ends then, and that should tidy that whole end up. And that will be the sills finished as well, so a bit of reinforcement along the sides, because I suppose the majority of the force is going to be put here whenever someone is actually in the vehicle. So I need to cut another one of these and round the edges off as well to make it nice and well finished. And then screw these in, glue them in, and I'll catch you up once that's done in a wee second. Bit of a different view of the Toylander one. This is looking at it from the bottom. As you can see, I've filled the gaps here with these cylinders. So it's not really on the plans, but what I'm going to do is put screws up the ways through the chassis or floor into those sills, just to be sure that it's all well attached. One thing I'm noticing, this is actually getting very heavy, which I suppose makes sense because it is most of 2 sheets of plywood. My little camping table here is starting to struggle with the weight, but the good news is that the bodywork's nearly finished, so shouldn't need to be on this for much longer, all being well. So lots of glue has been put into the cylinders. I'm going to put some screws in the bottom, and then cut the little finishing pieces and screw them on from the bottom as well. Just when access is better, rather than working vertically upside down and screwing up into the bottom, and get a bit of force into it as well. So let's get that done and see where we go next. So bit of a belt to braces approach, lots of screws put in down here, and if you can see the little bead of glue that is squeezed out from that gap, dripped and onto the floor, I'll wipe that up quickly. I think you'll agree that that was probably a good thing to do, and that's really made this edge nice and solid, reinforced it, plenty of screws, so it'll withstand a bit of wear and tear. So I'm going to run around quickly, do that on the other side before the glue sets. Now for a slightly different view, back on its base again, and as you can see, I have the sill finishers in, nicely rounded at the edges, and the same on the other side. Take you round. Here, putting it up on its end has actually caused some of the glue to run, so I'm going to run around here quickly and wipe that off. I've had actually a quick look through the instructions, and it seems to suggest that you're better leaving this area not screwed and glued just yet, because the motors need in there, and I suppose you need some room to work. It does say about screwing the seat down but not gluing it at this stage, measuring it, but I'm going to leave that well enough alone. I think I should just concentrate on the front end at this minute. So what I'm going to do is get the grille panel, see if I can get it to fit, and then look into making these dom irons for the front bumper that's going to run along here as well. So I'm going to put the front grille on and catch you up once that's done. So just a quick look at the front end again before I wind the video up. This is the front cross member, which sits roughly here, level with the underside of the floor. Little gaps at each side to allow those dom irons for the bumper. each side, and then on top of that sits the grill, which goes there, and as you can see it is fouling on those top pieces which are sitting out too far. So I'm going to have to do a bit of trimming in those top pieces so that this all lines up nicely and will sit high enough that the bonnet closes and it all looks well. As you can see, this is what happens to the ply whenever you cut it. You get bad splintering, even worse on that side, and I think it's particularly bad on this piece due to the complex nature of it. I haven't cut out the headlights here, but I'm going to center drill their points because I'm not going to use Toylander's headlights, hoping to find my own slightly cheaper. And that's the plan. So there you go. I think we'll leave this week's video here. Hopefully by next week I have the dumb irons cut out and I can get a bit of a front end done. I'm also going to order the corner pieces and the bonnet, and that should be the front end largely finished, which is very exciting from a bodywork point of view. And then moving on to the mechanicals, which I think I'll find quite enjoyable as well. Get the welder out and get the axles made, steering, all those bits and bobs. So there you go, hope you've enjoyed that video. I do notice that the Toylander videos seem slightly less popular on YouTube, but there does seem to be a core of people who appreciate them, so I'm going to keep doing this series. Any questions, suggestions, put them in the comments below. Hit the subscribe button if you've enjoyed these so you can watch the rest of this series. There'll also be more videos coming along in my own full-size Land Rover. As you can see, there's quite a significant oil leak here at the front, so that needs looked into. But please like and share the video as best you can. Keep in contact to reply to all my comments, and all subscriptions and watches greatly appreciated. Thanks very much, and I'll catch you again next week. Goodbye.